The Nazis are coming.
The Nazis are.
Yes.
Yes,
This is
that's
the
exactly what it
Canadian
is.
version.
Which is, by the way, changed from its earlier title, which I found out was
Vader.
Oh, wow, that sounds like a monster movie.
That's good because that sounds like sci-fi. Yeah.
like how we get from here to here.
Well, I think that's
still
because
have the voiceover at the beginning saying 49th parallel.
Yeah,
Lost
probably,
undefended.
it was marketed to Americans who only know Canada stops at the 49th parallel. Like, oh,
yeah,
there's a bunch of stuff up there we don't know about, so we'll just see what happens.
It's
that
was educational.
Yeah,
educational voiceover to get us rolling.
I know. You see a little bit of everything about Canada in this movie. You see like the Rockies and like the Inuit, and
it's a
even though there's only like one Canadian actor in it, Raymond Macy.
Right.
Well,
and he's at the end.
Right.
Yeah. But you notice he's like second billing.
Yeah.
What will we
at the
call
beginning of them?
The first Billings guy's accent?
Oh,
you talking about Olivier?
Yeah, Olivier has never done decent.
I don't know what to make of that.
Well, I mean, it took me a while to get with this movie, especially because of Olivier popping up with that beard and that crazy French Canadian trapper character and accent.
Johnny man,
what the heck? And then so that threw me. And then spoiler, they shoot him and he dies. And that's the last you're going to see of him.
Minutes.
I know. And I'm like, where is this movie going? It seemed kind of clumsy and weird, but then it becomes apparent that, it's the Nazis who are actually the main characters here, and we're going to follow them.
They're the continual characters.
They're the continuum, right? And so we get to, it's a road picture kind of. It's like they're on the run.
That's a road.
And there's that sort of 10 Little Indians aspect of it is like as some things happen and they kind of dwindle. The ones that are left become more important. They really become characters. And the stories that you go through are really interesting. I thought the one where they stayed with the Amish, were they Amish or was
Hutterite?
No, they're Hutterites.
Yeah, Hutterites. Close. It's a kind of German Anabaptist colony.
That was something.
Yeah.
And the guy who plays their leader, Peter.
Oh, I love that
Brooks
bit.
or whatever.
What was his name?
Anton Brooks, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That didn't sag for me, Chris. That I kind of got more engaged at that point because I was like, hey, this is like Witness. I wonder if the people who wrote Witness, actually the woman who wrote Witness.
My opinion of this movie changed every 10 minutes.
Well, the movie changes every 10 minutes.
Right. And I'll say it really stuck the landing, which is why at the margin I'm going to give it a pretty good thumbs up because I thought the ending was pretty good. It took me a while to kind of get into it. It was like this movie almost felt like it had two directors, one who really knew what they were doing and one who didn't.
Well, it did. It had
two directors.
Good again, and then clunky again, and then good again, and then clunky again, and then
maybe that's Powell and Pressburger like
fighting.
I don't know.
Yeah,
or just like their first film, right?
It was totally. Sometimes it's funny, and then it would get really brutal.
Yeah,
for like 5 or 10 minute stretches, and then go back. Like tonally, it was sort of all over the place.
Yeah.
Something that stood out to me about this thing as I was watching it, and especially was like in that sequence with the what are they called? Sorry, the German Hutterites. And then some of the later scenes. Oh, the great stuff where he's camping with Leslie Howard. Holy moly, Leslie Howard's the best, man. What a great character.
He doesn't give a fuck. That's great.
But the things that the Nazi characters said and did, and then even more so, the things that the other characters they interacted with said about them and to them. I mean, we've seen much heavier movies about Nazis, but there was something just white hot about how fucking angry people were about the Nazis. And then the movie ends and I'm like, 1941. War is still very much on.
It's still not. It's not a North America problem yet.
No,
but it's not history.
They've been in war for 2 years in Europe. The Germans invaded land.
And these are Englishmen who made this movie.
Yeah,
not
that's what I kept thinking about this. I had never really seen a movie that was about World War II while it was going on, and it was made while it was going on.
No, actually, and before we got into it, it was about
before the U.S. got into it.
So that was so striking to me.
To them, I mean, it's just it's he just holds them in such contempt.
Although
it's kind of great, actually.
I'll hold back on one bit. It's like first of all, the idea about having two directors doing this thing, and one is really good at doing movement and like scenery and like interactions with different people, and it works really well. The other one is writing the dialogue, and you can nail an era by the dialogue and how it's shaped, and that the Nazi leader's dialogue is preposterous.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk. He just gives speeches, angry speeches.
Yeah, but I liked that speech. And then
the lightning one was like the lightning storm one was it was beautifully paced.
Right, he's got lightning going
it was
behind
also
him.
absurd.
What's so impressive about that scene though is what's so impressive about that scene though is 1941 Robert De Niro's response to that.
Robert
that guy looked like Robert De Niro to me, the guy that was the head of the community. Anyway, his dialogue though after that speech is excellent.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's on those, yeah.
But maybe it is speechy, Scott. But again, just the intensity, both of the Nazi and then the retort to the Nazi.
Well, he's literally calling, or doing Hitler, right? I mean, he's doing his mini version of
him. He's Hitler's representative in Canada, basically.
Yeah, he's the incarnation of him. Yeah,
and he's like what you call a Zampolit. He's that political leader of the boat. And so these guys had to keep everybody in line, right? And so he's always talking that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this movie
it gets louder and more desperate as the film goes on. In the end, he's basically screaming. So it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, by the end, it's just him, and he's like running, and he's like, it doesn't matter that it's only me. I'm the master race. I'm gonna defeat all of Canada.
Master race guy. Look at me.
You're like, here's a copy of Mein Kampf. Perhaps you would like to.
And it's the kids' version of Mein Kampf. It's about that big.
Well, it's also gutsy to have a movie that does have sympathetic Nazi characters in it in terms of. I mean, they are
different from like other movies made.
They're. For all intents and purposes, they are the protagonists of this story.
I was saying that, Jared. They emerge as the main characters.
We follow them. We don't follow anyone else. So all the Canadians that come into their lives are people that we're just stopping with, and they're amazing, but they're not the leads. And so it was. I mean, I just think it's very mature. It's very risky to do this, and I thought they did it with aplomb.
Also, if you think of it, Pressburger is a Hungarian Jew, so at this point he's like a refugee from the Nazis.
Oh wow!
And boy, you should actually, Jim, be glad that Tad dropped out. This was the kind of thing that would probably make his head explode.
Yeah, right.
Well, he hated any kind of sympathy toward Nazi characters.
But there's that one guy in the one Hutterite.
We don't think they're the bad guys.
No, of course, no one does.
And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
exactly why it works.
Oh, bad guys never think they're bad guys. They don't believe
there's no bad people actually think that they're bad. I mean, they're doing it.
They're all doing
because
what they
believe in it.
Well, and what an interesting reflection on modern times.
Well, you have the whole gamut, right? You've got the guy who's the baker, Fogel.
I was going to mention,
like he's just sort of going along with it because he got conscripted and
he's a good German
up in it.
Right.
Yeah. And then you have those two weasels. Who,
I like how unsentimental it was when Fogel
before they even leave.
When Fogel was killed, it was very unsentimental. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because it made it even more sad, really.
Yeah. Why do you submit?
What's he gonna do? I mean, I guess he could have fought him.
I don't know. I mean, what was?
He went to see them. Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, I was actually thinking about the baker guy too, and like, they were able to drag him out in the woods and give him a summary execution and a trial. It's like I would have ran away. That was just it seems silly.
Still, yeah, but he was like still, even though it's wildly inappropriate for a newly 16-year-old to be in love with a full-grown man.
Well,
but like they were obviously sort of in love, and they were on that
track.
They were on that track.
Actually, she's a Hutterite. She's probably low over the hill.
Well, I mean, again, I wasn't.
She was a good little actress.
I wasn't kidding that I really.
Glynis
Johns, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't kidding when I said that there's echoes to me of Witness in this. I mean, like in Witness, it's a New York cop who's sort of this violent, frenetic guy, and he goes to the Amish community.
That's such a great movie.
Is changed. It's a fantastic movie. And the baker was kind of that character, you know. It was like there was enough humanity in him that when he saw what they were living like, it was like, oh, this is what I should be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was great to
I like how
see.
they demonstrated.
And of course, he had to die.
Yeah, they demonstrated his worth to the community by actually the opening scene, the meal. They're cutting their bread open with a saw. Like, it's like, you know, maybe I could do better than this. Let's give it a try.
Yeah.
Which is a great little bit of comedy, right? Because he's like, "Who is the baker?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm the baker.
I'm the baker."
He says, "Well, I don't
you
think
knew that was
very
coming.
good. Who's the baker?"
But like going back to what Chris said, I think when I came on was like, this is a really good film, I thought, and you know it, but it's got that 1940s clunky, like the action scenes were pretty clunky, right? I mean the shootouts and the stuff, and it's like because we didn't really know how to film that stuff yet. I don't know, it's like 1940, but then like the sort of the dramatic
when they were like going up the hill and you see the lake behind, like there were some vistas.
And you could tell
incredible.
The scenery's great, but you could tell, you know, they were using, you know, projection though too as well, like green screen stuff. But like when you get in the chamber drama stuff, it's riveting. I mean, it's just beautifully photographed. It's really well acted. It's, you know, I mean, not quite as well photographed as the one we're going to talk about next, but we're
coming
really
out of the
good.
talkie era. This is still kind of static, you know. They'll have locked off cameras and a lot of people having to like stand in the right place and the microphone has to be just right. So it's like they couldn't couldn't run around a lot. They did the whole verite thing hadn't been invented yet.
Don't even mention that fucking plane scene.
That's pretty good. They blew up whatever that model.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
For this time period, I thought.
It was kind of fun to try. They're going along.
And
like,
one of the Germans is just counting how many bombs hit it.
Well, it was a good, they did a good cross cut there. I mean, it was really,
7.
the sound design and the cross cutting were very, very good there because it was probably a good early example of you got the real feeling of we're going down because it kept cutting to the water, to them, to the water, to them. Getting closer, getting closer, getting closer.
And then when they were in the crashed plane and it was filling up with water, it was like, yeah, this is pretty good, you know.
That was a little too.
In those days, you could just cut through the canvas.
You could just cut through the canvas.
Yeah, right.
They're like, we're gonna drown.
Also, it's like stuff that like I don't that they had second unit the way that they had second unit like we have now, where it's like this shit's executed really, really well, and then 5 minutes later. Like the pacing has just gone out the window, and I like it was like again, it was just for me. This movie was a roller coaster of.
I thought it was
digging it. What's going on? No, I'm digging it again, and yet again, they stuck the fucking landing so well that like that last scene where he puts the hat on and walks toward him.
The ending was fun because it was definitely like the decisions were all out of the guy's hands, and these two guys who just walked into the movie had to make the decision. It was like
there was something very.
I
don't know how to feel about that final shot that Chris is talking about because it was cool, but there's something very sinister, almost self-aggrandizing about how that guy walked toward the camera to get his pants back. It was like it wasn't just you're wrong. It's I'm gonna torture the shit out of you now before being. It was. I felt like that was, even though I think it's cool, I was like, is that the right note though?
No,
like,
it's a totally different.
Massey has a chip on his shoulder, man. And
if you know about Raymond Massey, right? He played Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, in like Lincoln in Illinois or whatever the movie's called.
I'm not talking about the actor though. I'm talking about the way he played, or the choice
totally
to be sinister as he walks into the guy.
Yeah, it was weird.
Jared, totally that scene is out of a Mel Gibson 80s buddy comedy.
It's
a totally different fucking movie.
Okay,
I liked it.
I'm gonna kick your ass now.
What is it? Actually, the last.
I liked it too.
It's the last scene in the cargo, whatever the freight.
Freight train.
Freight train is actually it's a moral build because the Nazi gets in there, he's hiding, and then the other guy goes in there. You find out the other guy is an escape. What do they call it?
He's kind of a deserter.
So he feels like he's a criminal. They find out the other guy's a Nazi. So all of a sudden, oh no, I'm better than him. And so it kind of goes up like
slightly.
It's like so.
I may have deserted the Canadian army, but at least I'm not a Nazi.
It went from just him hiding to stakes being much higher, which is kind of nice. It was like a nice build.
Yep.
Well, that was fun.
But then it's straight to that scene, which is like, what's the movie? You can't shoot me. You're a policeman. There are policemen.
Oh, right.
What's that from? What's that?
Policemen have rules. That's
a movie I've seen a million times.
That's Die Hard. It's Die Hard.
Right. Yeah. There you go. That's the Die Hard. That's the end of this movie. It's the scene out of Die Hard.
More or less.
And he's like, yeah, my captain keeps telling me that. But yeah, I don't know. I like this movie a lot.
Jim's out of Jim's
there go. What happened to Jim?
Jim was
he's
out.
back.
He's back.
Well, he's back. He's back to give us his concluding thoughts.
You know, I've always enjoyed this film. I've seen it a bunch of times, and it is interesting because it's made during the war, and it's also, even though it takes place in Canada, it's really a UK film, right? Did any of you watch, we'll talk about it later after both these movies, Made in England, the documentary?
Oh, no, I saw the fiction film.
It didn't record.
What didn't record?
It was on TCM, right?
Oh, you're talking about the Powell Pressburger thing,
right?
Yeah,
I watched that. It was there's a lot of stuff in that. It's like it's not just about them.
I didn't know this
because it's basically just Martin Scorsese talking about Powell and Pressburger.
Yeah, it's a monogram, basically, a monogram movie. Yeah, so that's good stuff.
Anyway, fun stuff.
No,
I like it for all its flaws. You know, I mean, it's obvious that
I don't think it's that flawed for the time.
It's not flawed for the time. Yeah.
I mean, I know it seems clunky now, like Chris was saying, but to me, I watch a lot of movies from this time period and I'm like, this is par for the course.
Yeah.
Sure.
And there's just so much to enjoy in it, you know?
Yeah.
Powell did.
Well, you can't argue, except for Olivier.
Yeah, just.
Well, you know, it's. I can
let's talk about that for a second.
Oh, please, yes, by all means.
Odd. Yeah. That entire scene, all of the scenes with him are just, what has happened? Like, did you lose a bet?
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys just go shot.
Well, no, you know that all these people agreed to be in the movie and they just basically donated their salary.
Yeah. This is
which is why it's so episodic.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a day player film. This film that made the guys above title are all day players.
Well, but wait, hold on. Above the title,
Olivier, Howard, Nasty, basically one or two.
The guy that gets bumped off 28 minutes into this movie, who's got maybe the most ludicrous French Canadian accent I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean Leslie Howard has
that accent is really strong.
I mean Leslie Howard's got one segment.
Raymond Massey got like second billing.
Yeah.
Yeah, blink and you'll miss.
He doesn't show up until the end of the movie.
Yeah, they're all in like 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I was watching the beginning part with Olivier, got up and went to the bathroom, came back and like, oh, I have to rewind it. He's gone.
Also, I didn't know that border was called the 49th parallel, so I learned something.
Yeah, well,
I said it was
49 of them. That's great.
Jared, it turns out this was the original title, or at least the American title.
The Invaders.
Oh. Yeah, I don't. That makes it sound like a bad sci-fi movie from the.
Well, especially with Olivier carrying the woman.
Yeah, it looks like
and then those two clouds that kind of look like flying saucers.
Draw the antennas on them. That'd be awesome. Like, all
back
right.
to the drawing board.
They made a better choice with the other one.
I'm glad you picked this, Jim, because the number of Powell movies I think I've seen is, besides this one, like, I don't know, one or two. Like,
Peeping Tom.
I didn't realize he did Peeping Tom. Yeah.
Although Chris,
you saw my other choice, which was
Colonel Blimp, which we saw, yes.
So I believe Peeping Tom is considered the very first slasher, actually, of maybe all time. I mean,
except for maybe M, but that's a different thing.
And it's
that's not a slasher.
The only movie
it's a serial killer movie.
Pressburger.
Yeah. But anyway, either way,
but Peeping Tom did the first person thing for like the first time.
I'll leave one thing off about this.
Well, there's even like that. One of the legs of his tripod is like a knife.
Yeah, he kills someone with it. It's really cool.
Like and it was made in 1960, so it's like totally weird.
Right. Well, the thing is, I'll leave off of this.
We saw that in I don't even know whose class it was, but it was at Sonoma State University is where I saw.
Probably Peter Scarlett or whatever.
Yeah, I think Peter Scarlett showed us Peeping Tom. So
it's a significant movie. We saw portions of it in same at Sonoma State. They showed us not the whole thing, but like portions of it.
Anyway, the point I was making was, this film is of its time, late 30s, if you want to call it that, and it's kind of it has that stilted dialogue, which is very common. Gone with the Wind,
old-timey movie.
Happened One Night, an old-timey movie. It's a talkie. And you guys were all, yay, I don't mind, it's fun. Then I'm going back to The Russians Are Coming, which was a 1960s comedy, which you guys couldn't handle. because
I
it was a
did.
1960s
Zany.
comedy.
Zany.
So
No.
yeah,
Zany.
you guys can't do zany, but you can do stilted. Interesting.
For
I was waiting all day for this shot. Give me my shot, man. Come
for
on.
this time period, I thought the acting in this movie is excellent, pretty much across the board.
Excellent.
Like
I just
for this time,
it's just the way they made movies back then.
My problems with the Russian movie was totally like,
oh no, let's not really get it. They should actually go to thumbs.
No, but I think it's more of a
Scott.
I think you have a valid point, Scott, but I think it's more of a style thing. I think it's more of a style thing.
There you go. That's the thing. And also it's a comedy thing, but that's the other thing entirely.
It's mostly a comedy thing for me.
Yeah.
That's the comedy is very subjective genre for this bunch, for sure.
Also, arguably the hardest genre to be successful at.
Actually, you flip this around again to this film, which is actually kind of an action thriller and kind of a spy movie.
Yes.
Those are very portable. Something made like this in the 1930s, and now it's like we know the genre, we know the conceits, the concealing, the hiding, stuff like that, the running away. It's good stuff.
I mean, not that you need to remake a classic, but like I would go, give this movie to. I mean, like there's so many action directors like the top of their game.
You have to give it to a Canadian director. Give it to Cronenberg. And they're all like monsters in outer space.
Yeah.
We call it the Invaders.
No.
Yeah, then you call it the Invaders.
I mean, like,
it's called the body.
It's the body invaders. Yeah.
You make this movie. I mean, like
the Nazis are coming out of my stomach.
I don't know. Give it to.
Okay, that's a. All right.
No, I mean, like
thumbs. Let's do it. Come on.
All right, fine. Yes.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Glad I saw it. I'm about 11:45.
What?
It's not 12 o'clock, but 11:45.
Yeah, it's kind of about 11:45.
No, straight up.
You straight
Good movie.
up noon. I like it. Okay. Well, that's it.